What's up, all you movie lover badasses out there? Fat Samurai Guy here with Lady Fat Blood. And she's so pleased. She's so pleased with this movie. So, a while back, we saw the trailer for Ghost in the Shell. And visually, we really didn't have any complaints. It looked good. But we were concerned about the plot. And if you watch our pre-movie expectations video, we kind of talk about this, what our expectations were a little bit, and I just wanted the film to at least be entertaining. Our expectations were in the gutter; they were very low, because it's very difficult to do a live-action American remake or reboot of Japanese anime. I mean, look at the past with Dragon Ball Evolution, that horrible piece of shit movie. So, was it as bad as Dragon Ball Evolution? No, it's definitely a little bit more time and care was put into the creation of the film. You can tell that some people were trying to make a good movie, but unfortunately there's the other half, which concerns the script, which kind of holds it back a little bit. Now, this is her thing. This is her darling, okay? I saw the original movie way back years ago when I was first getting into anime. And I was blown away with how gorgeous and beautiful the world was. At first, I didn't really know what was going on when I first saw the anime. And I was just like, that was awesome and beautiful to look at, but I kind of didn't really get it that well. No. But then when I watched it again, I got it. I got what the plot was about. So, it's one of those films that, people that remember their first time getting into anime, Ghost in the Shell is usually on the list for a lot of people out there, for a lot of first-time anime lovers.
It was the second movie on DVD I ever bought for anime.
Yeah, there you go.
It was Ghost in the Shell and Ninja Scroll after my first series I completed, which was Escaflowne. So it was literally the second property of anime on DVD that I purchased.
Yeah, so there you go. So, I enjoyed the film, but I haven't seen it in years. I mean, it's literally been maybe 10 to 15 years since I've actually seen the film. I didn't get a chance to watch it before we went and see the live-action adaptation of it. She's a lot more familiar with it. So, during the movie, while we were watching the movie, I'm watching it. And I can already, I'm watching it. I'm giving it a shot, and I can already feel the rage. Okay, I can already feel.
It wasn't rage.
I can feel the Super Saiyan.
It was confusion.
Kamehameha, Kamehameha. The Super Saiyan glow was happening.
It was intense confusion.
Yeah.
Because they were.
I can hear her, like, there was a couple times during the movie she was just like,
I had to try to subdue a lot of my just, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. Okay,
So,
go ahead and talk about the problems.
Again, what's going to be kind of interesting is, with the two perspectives we have.
Yeah.
I recently bought Ghost in the Shell on Blu-ray a couple of months ago, and I watched it when I bought it, obviously, so it's pretty fresh in my mind, and the movie confounded me so badly today that while you were taking a nap, I watched the 1995 movie again.
Today?
Yes. just today, just like 2 hours ago, just to kind of try to put my finger on what exactly my problems were with this movie.
With the live-action version. Yeah.
So, visually, we were pretty correct in assuming that it looked pretty decent. Somebody had, watched the first movie and the second movie and put all the visuals in there, but what I really came away with was, while they were watching the first Ghost in the Shell and the second Ghost in the Shell movie, was that they watched it without any English dubbing or Japanese subtitles. So they literally just watched the two films and then made up their own plot, and then that's what we got with the live action movie. That was what I took away from it.
That's what it felt like watching the live action.
It literally felt like that to me. You had shot for shot scenes, which you asked me earlier, what could they have done to have made this movie, the live action movie, better. I don't think a direct retelling of the 1995 film would have helped. because why bother? And this is the same problem that I had with Beauty and the Beast. Is like
which we'll get to our Beauty and the Beast review.
When you have an animated version of something that's told so well, I fail to see the point of doing a live action version of it because you have the animated version of it. And I really wish what they had done in this film was taken the concepts of Ghost in the Shell, which they kind of tried to do this, but at the same time they didn't. I wish they had just taken the concepts and the story and the world, not the story, but the world and the characters, and completely done their own thing. I wish they had done that. But instead, what they tried...
Wouldn't they have pissed off the fans more, though?
I don't know. I've heard some fans hate this movie, and some fans are really liking it. Like they think
it's very split so far.
Some people have said that some things were done better in this Americanized version than in the '95 version. You know, this is one time I will have to agree to disagree. I don't believe in calling anybody a true fan of anything. You know, a lot of people, they like to be elitist and they like to be snobby and they like to say, well, real fans wouldn't do this or real fans would do that. I don't believe in that. It's easy to fall into that because it makes you feel superior. But I don't believe in that, you know. Everybody's going to take something different away from something no matter what it is. And I wish what they had tried to do, what they did, they tried to do their own thing, but at the same time, what I sat there being so confused on and doing this throughout a lot of the film and just like, why are we doing this? Was that they were taking so many elements, especially from the first movie. Now, I haven't seen the second series of Standalone Complex. I've only seen the first one, and so one of the characters that makes an appearance in this movie is an antagonist from the second series. So I don't know how his interpretation from animation to film went, so I can't speak to that. But what I can speak to is everything that they pulled from the first movie. And because of all of the things, certain scenes, certain semi-tidbit plot elements, even certain tidbits from the second film, they pulled so much out of it that I was literally sitting there going, okay, well, you've completely made it impossible for me to divorce the two. You've completely... I cannot separate my love for the first movie and all of the references you're giving me from the first movie in this, your film, which you should be just doing something completely different. I can't differentiate the two now because I'm sitting here comparing, you know, just, this is what it did to me. It made my brain just go, why? Why are we doing this? And I tried to make a very conscious effort 10 minutes into the film. I was like, okay, you know what? I need to make a decision right now to just stop comparing this to the animated film because I need to be able to judge this movie on its own. But the movie wouldn't let me do it.
Okay.
Between the Special Project 2571, the Puppet Master was Special Project 2501 in the '95 version. You had the subplot with the garbage men being hacked into, and the one dude that has the daughter that there were false memories implanted into his head, and this is the guy. They changed a couple of things. Like in the '95 version, you've got the hacker that's just a puppet for the Puppet Master, but he hacks into these. He convinces these other two, this one trash can guy, to hack into all of these other systems, and under the guise of he's spying on his wife because his wife has taken his daughter away from him, and so he thinks he's spying on his wife, but he's really doing the Puppet Master's bidding. Well, they combine those two characters, and so now the trash guy that has the phony memories of his daughter, that little tidbit of information, it doesn't make any sense now. It made sense in the '95 version, but in this, they literally just did it because, not that it made sense, but because the '95 version did it. And it was like, okay. But there were instances like that where I was just like, I get it. You're trying to appease the old fans, and maybe trying to draw on the new ones who might not ever watch the animated film, and maybe, you know, maybe that will succeed. Maybe, I really, like, some...
Well, the Boss Baby has destroyed Ghost in the Shell this weekend.
Well, good job, Paramount. You did your homework. Why would you release a movie like this up against an animated film? You're idiots. Okay? It's stupid.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't see a sequel to this.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
They clearly set it up because at the end of the first film, the '95.
Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert, by the way.
Right. Sorry about that.
Kind of late on that. Sorry.
You might want to add that in the thumbnail.
Yeah, I'll put that in the thumbnail.
Sorry.
There you go.
You know, the end of the first movie, it it didn't really leave open a huge, oh, clearly there's going to be a sequel. But obviously there was one. And, The Ghost in the Shell, it's had a lot of, interpretations. It's had a lot of reboots. It's had a lot of retellings and reimaginings. Some I followed, some I haven't. So there's always room to expand. But this one, clearly they wanted to go for a sequel. God, again, they had so much in common with the first movie. The Kuze character is a bit like the Puppet Master. But the Puppet Master in the 95 version, he was this program created to spy on other countries and organizations, and he became self-aware. And so he considers himself a sentient life form, and he's the spark that makes Motoko really start to question what is it to be human. She's already questioning, she knows she has all these restraints put on her because of who she is, but she knows that there's more out there, and she ends up merging with the Puppet Master in the first movie, and they become like this new entity where she's still in there, but there's still a new personality from the two, and so that personality is able to go into the web, and that's where you get your second movie. She's literally part of the web in the second movie. Well, no, we didn't do that in this one. Kuze clearly says, hey, join me, meaning join me and we'll go into the web and we'll take, da-da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, no, I'm not ready to go yet. I still have more to do here. So she's still in her old body. She chooses not to join him. And so, sequel bait, essentially. Yeah. And it's like...
The team's back together.
I will say, this movie was not utter garbage.
No.
Okay, some of the cinematography was fine. Some of the visuals were very nice. I completely consent to that. I consent to that.
You were you were pleased with
Bateau. He was
the best part of the movie.
Bateau is actually my favorite character from the films. I like the dynamic that he has with the Major. There's no love between the two of them, like romantically, but there is clearly a caring nature between the two. They have a nice banter. They had a bit of banter a little bit in this one.
A little bit, yeah.
So it worked. I liked his portrayal. His portrayal was pretty spot on for me.
Yeah, the actor did a really good job playing Bateau.
I was really happy.
Pete Takeshi was fun.
Yeah, he was Aramaki. And what I was really happy with was that Section 9 was not the baddies. Right. I was really worried about that with the way the trailer set everything up. I was scared that was where they were going.
Yeah.
But there's this similar along the lines of OCP Corporation that creates these robots. There's a corporation in the 95 version that creates the robots that the Major inhabits and all that, but it's a different name here in this one. And they're the baddies. They end up being the baddies, sort of.
Right.
More or less.
So going back to what you were saying earlier, Ghost in the Shell, the tone from the original animated movie, the tone, the cerebral, what's the word I'm looking for? Psychological element of the plot of the first movie, and it being deep and having inner messages.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell sometimes, especially Innocence, the second movie, can be up its own ass very much to the point where we're just quoting, philosophy quotes right now, and I could tell what this live action movie was trying to do.
Right.
It was trying to do its best to go that route and what it means to be human and whatnot. Again, it was so hard for me to separate my feelings from the first movie. So it was it was the Ghost in the Shell for dummies.
Right.
And I don't mean that as a riff. I mean that, no, the books, Computers for Dummies, or, something for dummies.
The Cliff Notes.
Exactly.
Of
I literally
Moby Dick.
mean that this is this is literally...
But like I was saying, is all the psychological elements of the original anime, the first anime movie. Just the anime movie itself, if they did it shot for shot, verbatim, a true homage, to the old one, and did the exact same story, everything, the mainstream audience's heads will explode, and they'll be like, what the fuck did I just watch? So that's why they had to dumb it down and make the changes,
and
right?
You also have to keep in mind that the original film is only 1 hour and 25 minutes long.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 1 hour 25. There are a lot of heavily dialogue-driven shots where This is not the '95 version is not an action film. It is
No.
a cerebral sci-fi, philosophical film.
Right.
And there's very little action in it, and there's a lot of contemplative, not shots where there's no dialogue going on, and it's just Kenji Kawai's score enveloping your brain, which is another bone I have to pick with this movie. And so there's a lot of, again, you got two very different styles of filmmaking going on. You've got visual with no dialogue, and like very little visuals going on with heavy dialogue. That's like making your brain go, if you're not used to it. So I don't think a live action version of the '95 film would have been any better.
Okay.
But again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's true.
It's just, I wish they had just gone off and done their own thing entirely. One of the things I said in the trailer reaction was, I doubt you're gonna have Scarlett Johansson naked on top of the tank trying to rip open the top with her arms ripping out of the sockets. Well, I was wrong. Although you never see her actually naked. What they did for this one, because it's PG-13. What you see in the trailers, that's her suit, that whole cyber suit that she's got on, that's her body. You see all the lines in it, but in the '95 version, it's, she's got boobs, she's got, kind of nipples and all that, but, it's like, you couldn't do that in a PG-13 movie.
No.
But no, she's on top of the tank by the end of the film.
Oh no, not nipples!
I know,
Oh!
Satan's creation. And one of her arms does rip off, but again, the whole time I'm sitting there going, I don't care. This,
Yeah, that's the problem. Well, it was a well-made film, okay?
Well enough.
Now let's talk about my perspective.
Yes.
Was there any other things you want to talk about? Score. Talk about the score.
Jesus. Okay, so, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I love movie music. You may have heard me say that a couple 100,000 times. Kenji Kawai's score for Ghost in the Shell...
It's iconic.
...and Ghost in the Shell Innocence are breathtaking for my money. What he did for the first movie, the movie is very atmospheric, and his score, it complemented that so well that it's perfection in my mind, and it fit the tone perfectly, And what he did in Innocence was even more amazing. It's so energetic, and it's crazy beautiful, and that's Ghost in the Shell to me. And I've said this again also in Standalone Complex, the series, Yoko Kanno came in to do the score, and I enjoyed what she did very much. But for me, Kenji Kawai was my introduction to Ghost in the Shell with music, and Kenji Kawai's score is Ghost in the Shell to me.
Right.
For me, this was some of the blandest.
Very bland. There were moments throughout the score that it was fine, and it kind of fit the movie, and it was okay, but it was very forgettable.
It was nothing.
This is nothing you can put on and play in the background.
No,
this was just.
It didn't strike me at all as anything interesting. The best part that came out of this, though, was the cover that this artist did for the Depeche Mode song, Enjoy the Silence.
For the trailer?
That they played for the trailer. Come to find out, I love this song, so I bought it off of Amazon the other day. That song is like 11 years old. That cover version is old. The cover is old as freaking hell.
Cover?
The cover is old as hell.
Holy shit.
And I never heard it before. And so the best part of Ghost in the Shell live action is that I got introduced to a song that I never would have heard before. So, hey, thank you.
And they did play, because they had to.
Kenji Kawai actually wrote a new piece for this.
And they played it in the end credits.
And it's a mixture of the first movie's main score and the second film, Innocence's main score. And I was basically flipping the middle finger.
So, speaking of the sound, speaking of bland.
Please take over.
Okay, I'm taking over.
Thank you.
Now, I remember, not in detail, the first Ghost in the Shell 1995 movie. I remember it, but I don't remember it that well. So it's been years since I've seen the first film, and going in, I was just, let me have an open mind here. Now, like she said, the Ghost in the Shell movies are not action films, okay? They're sci-fi, there's action in there, but, really there's the fight with the garbage man. There's the shootout in the beginning.
Was the very beginning with the shootout.
And the bit when she dropped from the building.
Yeah,
and then the tank battle, the iconic, awesome fucking badass tank battle from at the end of the movie. That's it, really. That's it. It's really not an action-based anime. So I knew that going in. So I wasn't expecting a lot of action in the live-action version, but I was still bored out of my fucking mind. Okay, now, the action is fine. The action's fine. You know, you get some decent shootouts. The beginning action sequence where she bursts through, you know, falls off the building and bursts through the glass, and you got the slow motion running on the wall stuff. All that was fine. And the action throughout the movie was fine. The tank battle, I thought, would be a lot cooler. It's the best part of the film, the spider tank battle, but it was fine. Everything was fine.
Scarlett Johansson was serviceable.
She was fine. I don't know what was up with her walk.
Oh my god, she walked like she was holding in a 10-pound dump in her ass. I don't know what the hell convinced her that was fine the way she walked.
She's a robot. Get it? I don't know. It was just odd. Like, why is she walking like that?
It was noticeable. Like 2 seconds in, she would storm off because she'd be really pissed off over something, and it'd be like, "Oh, honey, the bathroom's over there."
Anyway. So the action that was there was fine. What the fuck?
Jason Voorhees is terrorizing the local.
What the fuck's going on outside?
That's all right.
Anyway, it's all fine.
Yeah.
It's not horribly filmed action. The action's not horrible.
That's true. There's no like super quick cuts. There's nothing jittery.
No, it's fine.
That's something for it.
So even though I wasn't expecting action in the movie, I was still bored, man. Like the pacing in this movie fell off. It's not a very exciting movie, and I think that's where they made a mistake. It was it was like the filmmakers were fighting. Like, let's homage and try to have some of the themes from the anime, you know, but then let's throw in some more. It's definitely got more action than the anime film, but let's just throw in some more action sequences to kind of get the mainstream audience interested. They failed. In my opinion, they failed. If you're gonna make it an action film, if you're gonna turn Ghost in the Shell into a sci-fi action movie, they should have went balls to the wall, went all out, had some really kick-ass, amazing action set pieces to wow the audience. So that way, you know, they'll come in and give a shit and be interested in a sequel. I really, there was people behind us snoring.
Oh, somebody fell asleep.
There was 2 people.
Yeah.
They were snoring behind us.
And then, you know, and that's.
But it's not a horrible movie.
No.
That's the point we're trying to get across. It's fine. It's just not. It's not horrible. It's not great. But it does feel like it was a waste of time.
I would really love to hear someone's perspective who's never seen anything Ghost in the Shell related to see if it worked for them. I would be really interested if anybody has never even heard of the original property.
Went in straight blind.
Yeah, I would really like to hear what their perspective is, because as much as I love the first film so much, and I have an appreciation for the second film. I don't love it as much as the first movie.
Right.
But for me, this movie did not work on a lot of levels. I did not like the direction that they took with the Major's character, with the new subplot that they tried to do with her. I didn't like that at all. I thought that was a little awkward, and it was kind of stupid. I don't really think we need to get into the details on that.
No.
You know, this is the source material was so deeply dumbed down that your only alternative was to try to beef it up with a little more action.
They should have just made it. If you're gonna, they should have just made it a straight action sci-fi film.
Kind of like to add what you said. If you're gonna dumb it down, go all the way and dumb it down.
Yeah.
Put some more interesting action in there. Don't just rip off what the first movie did. You know, don't just pull the scenes from the first movie and say, hey, you know, remember that scene? Yeah, I could go watch it on my Blu-ray player instead of going out to the fucking theater and paying $18 to see your piece of shit movie. And it's not a piece of shit. It's just not, from a Ghost in the Shell perspective, it's nothing that I needed to see. I can't say I'm disappointed though, because it's about what I expected.
Right.
I knew it was going to be dumbed down.
Yeah.
I had my suspicions on where they were going to take the Major's character, and I was kind of right on a lot of things with what they did with her. I just, I think it would have been better for fans if they had just gone off in their own direction completely. But, again, this movie, even if they had kept it at like an hour and a half, I have no idea how long this movie was. It didn't feel overly long, but it did feel a little, like you said, there seemed like they're
bland and generic.
A little bit.
Not painful.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
You can find some enjoyment out of the film. You can. But it was just, I was just sitting there just like, all right, have patience, my young Padawan.
Yeah.
But it was just like, ugh.
And that's the thing. The first movie, a lot of people might consider that a snorefest because it's very
even more so.
That's what I'm saying. At an hour and 25, I don't know if a lot of people would be able to accept that type of a story.
I don't see a lot of mainstream audience, period, liking the first Ghost in the Shell film.
Unless you're...
You guys might watch it and be like, what the fuck was the big deal?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Why?
And it's something you have to be in the mood for.
Yeah.
It's kind of along the same lines as like Sunshine and Moon, where it's very slow.
Yeah.
It's a story.
Slow, traditional sci-fi.
Yeah, it's a character.
Old school.
It's a study in... That was another
Character-driven, story-driven.
Aside from what they did with the Major's character, I did not like her personality in this. I like the Major who's got her head on and she knows who she is, even though in the 95 version she's questioning how much how much of her humanity is left within her. She is just a brain inside a robot's body, essentially. And she does start to question that, but in the interim between all that, she at least knows her shit and she seems like she's in control of things. But in this live action movie, I don't know. She just kind of seemed... I don't know. And it might be just I'm picking it apart. I don't...
Maybe you might enjoy the film a little bit more with a second watch. Maybe it might grow on you a little bit. Not to the point where you'll love the film.
If the movie...
But you might appreciate what they were trying to do.
If I get it for free, maybe.
$5 Blu-ray purchase.
If I'm feeling generous.
Oh, let me get this out. Let me get this off my chest here. Okay, so we came across a few other reviews, and it's fine. You can love this movie to each his own, but we're still kind of puzzled a little bit. Just because a movie, all right, and let me know in the comments below if you agree with this statement. Just because a movie isn't as bad as the previous, outing or example of, like, for example, Dragon Ball Evolution, that piece of shit garbage movie.
Or Speed Racer.
Or Speed Racer. Just because it's not as bad, that this film is not as bad as those, does not give it a pass for a perfect rating.
Or near perfect rating.
It's A-, an A-, an A-.
Oh, shots fired.
Okay? I don't care.
God.
I don't give a shit.
Holy hell.
An A-. Yeah. A very popular film critic out there on YouTube, and that's fine. To each his own. Fine.
We're just puzzled.
We're just
puzzled.
What I just don't understand. Like a near perfect rating.
Sometimes I literally...
A near perfect movie.
And this is the same person that gave Kong, like, what, a D?
You gave it like a C- or whatever. Anyway.
Sometimes we feel like we're watching a completely different movie from some people, but that's life.
Yeah, but I don't think Ghost in the Shell deserves to get a pass. Okay?
And
just because it's better than Dragon Ball Evolution.
Just because they happen to come very close, that was the thing. Visually, yeah, it looked fine, but I did not feel any atmosphere in the film.
No.
Again, especially...
It looked nice. And it looked nice, but it felt fake.
Well...
It is fake. Obviously, it's CG, but...
I guess you could get away with that given the source material, but the two animated films conveyed so much more life in their landscape shots than this movie did.
Now, I got another question. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this question. Are we over cyberpunk? Is cyberpunk not... what's the word I'm looking for? Is cyberpunk not as impressive as it used to be? You know what I mean? Because the whole cyberpunk thing in the 80s, cyberpunk was very popular in the 80s and the early 90s. You know, you have Blade Runner, you know, you got Fifth Element, and is very popular in anime. We've seen everything now, and cyberpunk has influenced the style. It's influenced so many movie, Matrix, everything. Cyberpunk's influenced, the style of cyberpunk has influenced every type of medium you could think of. So since we've seen it all, and it's been done a billion times over, are we over cyberpunk? Are we gonna be as impressive with this new Blade Runner sequel coming out? Or we're just going to be like, well, we've seen this before. We've seen a futuristic city before. We've seen flying cars before. In my opinion, as nice as the visuals look in this Ghost in the Shell movie, it doesn't even compare to the original Blade Runner in terms of visuals.
And why,
it's not even close. And that was what, early 80s?
But why was that? Why was that? Because the city was a blend of practical and different types of effects.
Okay.
It was models. It was,
It wasn't just complete CG.
It was a blend of a whole bunch of different elements.
Didn't have CG back then.
Well, it was a blend of all these elements that made the city feel real. Okay. And that's something that computers just cannot capture. Computers can enhance things, but they cannot capture things well.
Right.
And that's one of my biggest problems with the overuse and complete reliance on CGI. I am not against CGI. I feel that if you use it right, CGI is a fantastic tool. Yeah. But in this case, you get this city that's pretty much just all CGI for the most part, but it feels it.
Yeah.
It's the prequel syndrome where it feels fake. It's like, well, it's pretty, but it's fake. It's Avatar. It's pretty, but I don't give a shit because it's...
Right.
I can't stare at a pretty thing for 3 hours.
I don't know. I just think that the audience of today is just really not impressed anymore. They've seen everything. It's hard to please them now in terms of visuals, in terms of cyberpunk. Like, I don't see anyone going, ooh, look at the city anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just... cyberpunk ranting right now. But yeah, I mean, in terms of comparing it to Blade Runner, it's not even close.
No.
It's not even close.
Well, visually,
Blade
Runner is just like on its own little...
And this, I'm sure the budget for this movie was
of course.
a billion times over than Blade Runner.
Of course it was. I mean,
okay, I think we've ranted enough. But yeah, not a horrible movie, not a great movie. Do you recommend it?
I can't.
For newbies. For people that don't know anything about it,
all
do you
recommend
it?
All I can say.
Maybe if they're just big diehard sci-fi fans.
All I can say is if you saw the trailer is pretty... It's a pretty good indicator of what the film is. The trailer does not lie to you. Everything that you see in the trailer is what you get in the film. There's no tricky editing to make you think that there's a different plot in there. It's exactly what it says it is. So kudos to the trailer for not bullshitting us. If you saw the trailer and it's intriguing to you, absolutely, check it out. If you know nothing of Ghost in the Shell and the trailer interests you, please, by all means,
Die-hard fans of the anime.
I can't say, because I adore the anime, and
So you
I could have skipped a theatrical watching of this.
If you're curious, if you're a die-hard fan of the anime and you're curious,
look at the other reviewer that we watched that's a die-hard anime fan and fan of the movie. He absolutely loved this film.
A-.
And
A-?
Yes, honey.
I'm sorry.
Yes. But there you go. There's
perfection.
And I saw another reviewer right after him that absolutely loves Ghost in the Shell and has seen all of the animated incarnations of it and has his bones to pick with some of them, but he absolutely loves the 95 version, and he hated the movie, but he had the same problem that I'm having, where it wasn't like, you hate it because it just reminds you of what you love about the original, but kind of shitting on it at the same time. But if you kind of separate your love for it and you just kind of watch it for what it is, which is very hard because of the way the film works, you're just kind of sitting there going, okay, well, that's fine. It's not an incompetent movie.
No.
Like, it's not shot poorly. The acting isn't poor. None of the characters really stand out all that much except for Bato and Aramaki, of course.
Bato!
Yeah, Bato.
Bato was cool.
They nailed Bato. He's perfect. And Aramaki, he was really good. Beat Takeshi, but again, it's just like it's not an incompetent in any way, shape, or form. It's not like the worst thing ever. It's just
it's not.
meh.
Like I said earlier, I still don't think it deserves a pass. Just because, it's like, for example, it's like video game cinema. Okay? The first Resident Evil movie is not a great movie. It's entertaining, but it's not a great movie. So just because the first Resident Evil movie is better than any Uwe Boll film doesn't mean Resident Evil should be A-. Okay?
Easy.
I'm sorry. All right, what do you rate what are you giving the film?
It's really hard for me to even try. If I put my personal feelings into it and consider it for what it is, which is trying to be its own thing and yet simultaneously trying to homage the Ghost in the Shell franchise, I would struggle to give it a 2, just because I don't like what they did with it. I think they should have just gone off and done their own thing. I don't
Michael Bay style? Be careful what you ask for. So what do you give the film?
Ignoring that, I would struggle to give it a 2 just because I don't like what they did with it, and that's that. If I put my feelings aside, I guess I could give it a 3. I guess so, but that's completely divorcing my feelings and memories from the first movie. This movie was almost like insisting to the fans. This is a direct quote from the movie. It's not your memories that define you, it's what you do that defines you. Well, my memories of the first movie are defining my opinions for what you are doing, and what you are doing is not very impressive. So fuck you and your bullshit philosophy.
So for me, there's some parts that I did like. Not great, but not bad. It's right there in the middle. So I enjoyed it a little bit more than she did. Just a little bit more. So I'm gonna give it a 3.3 out of 5 stars. So let us know in the comments below what you guys thought of Ghost in the Shell. Were we too hard on it? Were we not hard enough on it? I should have given it a 0.
No.
Let us know, or should we have given it an A-? A-.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. That's almost a perfect, flawless movie.
Whoa.
Okay? I'm sorry. So let us know in the comments below what you guys think. And should there be sequels? Let us know. And should we have that Akira movie and Cowboy Bebop movie?
Jesus Christ! Don't you fucking dare! Don't you fucking
it's
dare!
It's probably gonna happen.
Bastards!
It's gonna happen.
Don't you dare!
It's gonna happen.
Don't you fucking dare!
All right.
I ain't even joking. I ain't even playing. Don't.
It's gonna happen.
Don't.
This is the new thing.
Somebody was joking in the comments of our pre-movie reaction saying they were, scared about the prospects of an Akira movie and a Ninja Scroll movie.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "Oh, they'll just get Tom Cruise to play Tetsuo," and I'm like, "No, they'll get Tom Cruise to play Jubei for Ninja Scroll, and they'll get Dane DeHaan to play Tetsuo in Akira, and probably some I don't even know who the popular boyish.
It's gonna happen. It's already done. We just mentioned it. We already gave them ideas. That's it. They're listening. That we kind of screwed the pooch. They know now. They're gonna do it. So anyway, let us know in the comments below what you guys thought about the movie. And thanks again for watching. As always, you guys rock. We'll see you next time.
Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe.